I just have to
Okay, we are live. All right, I'm still broadcasting from Oklahoma, and I do not like the lighting and the
Oklahoma, where
acoustics I'm
we go.
fighting from. Paul, you're still in Florida, as far as I know, and Jason, as far as I know, is in Omaha. we
I'm glad you
we've had
didn't use
some,
the
we've had
N
some
word.
really wintry weather down here. Wet, cold,
Really?
40s. It was 55 today, so it was nice. Expecting snow on Saturday and 37 degrees temperature. So, all right, we're here to talk about the Nebraska football game. Okay, I found a couple interesting stats today. Nebraska scores
Oh, you used
18.7
the N
points a
word.
game. What's that? Oh, I thought I heard somebody interrupt me. Nebraska scores 18.7 points a game.
Oh, I said you used the N word.
What? I'm missing something. This is why I need my earbuds.
I keep saying you're using the N word.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, the Huskers are scoring 18.7 a game. They're giving up 18.7 points a game. Identical.
Well, that explains their 5 and whatever record.
Yeah. They're 121 of 133 teams in scoring. Iowa's 124th, in case you wondered. We're at 18.5. Their defense is 19 of 133 on their scoring, and Iowa is 12.4, third in the nation in scoring defense. So, Chubba Purdy is their quarterback this week. He ran for a touchdown and ran 100 yards. He is probably their most dangerous running quarterback they've got. Yeah. And, of course, anybody who doesn't know by now, Chubba Purdy is Brock Purdy's little brother. Okay. Yep. Where do we want to go from here, guys?
Well, Chumbawamba, man, they get knocked down, but they get up again because you're never going to keep them down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but I think we're going to knock them down plenty.
I hope so.
I think you'll see a lot of first downs between the 20s for Iowa. Nebraska plays actually the perfect defense for Iowa. I think Iowa's off-tackle plays are going to be really well. Nebraska's weak on the edges. Now, if we continue to attack the inside this game, that's going to be silly. That's where Nebraska's really strong.
Okay.
But flats are going to be wide open. So expect the tight ends to catch the ball in the flat, maybe receivers on some quick hitters. Hopefully the running backs out in the flat. Nebraska is kind of modeling themselves after Iowa on both the offense and defensive side of the ball. And on defense, they play back. They give up a lot of yardage in between the 20s. If you take it, they do what Iowa does. They make you make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting a very low-scoring game. But
the big difference between Iowa and Nebraska, though, is their offense loves to make mistakes. Their offense loves to give away the football.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's what they're trying to be, Iowa, right?
Right.
Want all those mistakes, they just happen for them. And I think that's how both sides of the ball are actually going to play. Whoever gives up that one touchdown is going to struggle that game. I don't think there's going to be much scoring at all. I think there's going to be a lot of first downs and some yardage because both defenses will let you get your yards in between the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Iowa probably kicks 5 field goals. I mean, I do have Iowa winning. So I think it'll just depend on – because Iowa, if they want to, they could bring the same defense they did last week because Nebraska has no playmaker except Billy Kemp. I think he may get a couple plays off. But other than that, I mean, even without Cooper, Nebraska doesn't have anything for Iowa to be afraid of. Billy Kemp is their only speedster. So they could do what they did last week, shut down the run and send the house, right? Last week they did it because they knew Illinois would be throwing the ball quite a bit. Plus, they were protecting Deshaun Lee by making Illinois throw it fast, right? You don't want him to sit in the pocket all day. So if you remember last week, Iowa was blitzing 5 and 6. It was a totally different style out of Iowa, just blitzing the house. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that this week, just because that's kind of what I'm hoping anyway, even though both sides will probably be very passive. The moment Iowa gets to midfield, the play calling will probably change because they want nothing more than to punt the football, right? They're going to want to punt the football, bury Nebraska, shut them down, and then get the ball in field goal range. So, I mean, this is a game that Iowa could put up a lot of yards if they choose to. Nebraska will give up a lot of yards.
I heard a stat.
I don't think
by Dolph. I heard a stat by Dolph right before we went on air that said Nebraska is the best in the Big Ten at not giving up rushing yardage. They're averaging giving up 2.8 a yard per carry. They're also number 1 in rushing. I did not know that.
But that also takes some play to the quarterback running the ball.
Right.
So, I mean, even their sacks come back because, like Iowa, the average yards per carry drops because of sacks, right? At Nebraska, that doesn't happen because even when they get sacked, they get those yards back by the quarterbacks running the football. So they get those yards back. And last week, Purdy had a 70-yard touchdown run. So I'm worried about that 2.8 yards per carry because it's kind of exact opposite way of Iowa's yards per carry where the sacks hurt it. Their running backs aren't doing much as far as yards.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out too that Nebraska, I want to make sure I word this correctly because I've paid a little bit of attention to them and they do turn the football over. We mentioned that, but they are definitely a run heavy team. They are kind of the antithesis of Illinois. Well, Iowa's strength on defense really is stopping the run, especially without Cooper DeJean, right? So, I mean, if they want to try to run into the steel curtain, fine. That plays really right into our hands because if we can get them into predictable passing situations, that makes it even better for us.
I mean, this game could be a lot like the Rutgers game.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the Rutgers is just like Nebraska and actually a better version than what Nebraska is.
Well, if there's any good news, Purdy threw 2 interceptions last week. If that helps us, maybe we can get a couple of picks because we're sorely missing our picking the ball lately.
Nebraska has a callous disregard for the football.
I mean, I'm not too worried about it. If it happens, it happens. But as long as they knock the ball down, let them line up again and do it again. Iowa just has to start catching the ball. Iowa has dropped so many interceptions this year. Last week they dropped 3, but they deflected 13 of them, right?
Right.
It was a program record, 13 pass deflections. Granted, the defensive line, I believe, had 4 on their own, right?
Yeah.
So,
and their quarterback threw like 46 times.
Yep. He was 22 of 47, I believe.
47. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I believe his stats were.
So is there anybody on defense that we should be aware of that we shouldn't be throwing the ball towards or trying to run through?
The only player on defense that really is scary is the number 0 in the middle. That big fat dude, he's a stud, man.
He's an absolute stud, yeah.
That's why you say get to the edges then, right?
What's that?
That's why you're saying get to the edges.
Yes, they're very weak on the edges. I think Iowa's off tackle. Their zone runs. They could bring back the zone this week, in my opinion. And it would work really well. Then they can use Johnson more as well because he's more of a zone running back comparative. we got to get into K2 later. Let me know because
Yeah.
I did learn some things about K2 today. So,
Well, that's fine.
I'd
I
be
mean,
cons-
anytime you want to bring it up, because he's going to be playing, right?
well, we got to keep it in order here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'd be concerned about running the zone scheme this week unless Logan Jones is back and healthy. Because, I mean,
Ellsbury is looking good.
Yeah. From what Kirk said, it'll probably be like it has been the last couple of weeks. Logan will probably give it a go for a few snaps early in the game and then turn it over to Ellsbury. As he kind of hinted at that without saying it.
No, I thought he was saying Jones is out until probably the bowl game.
Oh, did
wow.
he say that? Okay.
Yeah.
He said only 2 people were out, and I thought those 2 people were not Jones.
I thought he said Jones gave it a shot, but he doesn't expect him to play until I'm hearing he's not going to play until.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I heard it wrong. Okay. So they got some nice receivers though, and Thomas Fedone. We tried to get him to come to Iowa.
He was committed to Iowa.
Yeah, he only had 200. He only has 251 receiving yards this year, which by tight end standards at Iowa is not very much.
We don't have to worry about him. He's from Lewis Central here.
Yeah.
I was so happy when he went to Nebraska, and his career has been pretty much what I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm not worried about Fedone at all. I wish his cousin came to Iowa. His cousin would be a great kick returner for Iowa.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
He's
a better anybody we can here, huh?
He's a better version of Wetjen, but he's at Iowa Western right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of kick returners, hopefully Caleb Wetjen could be, kind of that X factor that we're going to need to win this football game.
Yeah. He's got to learn how to catch his punts, but no one's giving him a shot to return kickoffs, right? Everybody's kicking the ball through the end zone.
Yeah. So, okay, Billy Kemp is their leading wide receiver with 289 yards. So, again, that's not a whole lot.
He's the one, but he's got a lot of speed, right? He's basically their version of Caleb Brown.
Okay, cool.
He is really good, but they don't have the quarterbacks to get him the ball.
Right. Yeah. And so just to show you, put things in perspective, right now out of healthy players, Nico has 213 receiving yards. That's the highest of the guys who are able to play right now. And to put that in perspective, he's still way behind both Lachey and All.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of sad. Astringa's coming up behind with 116 and Brown has 121 yards. So those are our guys. Those are our big guns. It looks like. And then, of course, Williams has 688 yards rushing. K2 has 385 yards rushing, and Patterson only has 191 yards rushing. So this is a good place for K2 because we're looking about rushing now.
Well, I mean, it'll just depend. But what K2's issue is exactly what I've been saying all along. I just got confirmation today about it. He is struggling with the gap. Apparently, if you watch the game, well, I don't know if you could see it on TV anyway. Williams was actually trying to explain to Caleb during the game, like he was missing holes in the first half.
Right.
He had 3 carries. Now I haven't gone back and watched this. This is what I got my contacts told me today. He had 3 carries for 4 yards, right, in the first half. But so he wasn't seeing the holes that apparently were there. And Williams was on the sideline teaching him the gap. He's like, you're in your hole. So what we've been saying for this whole since the last 4 or 5 weeks is exactly what I thought. I wasn't told this. I just thought this because you could tell by watching him run. He's more of a zone blocking running back. I think we talked about that quite a bit here.
Right.
Because he knows how to read, and he's very patient. He knows how to get to the hole and zone. In gap, he's confused about where the hole's actually at. So he is really struggling with that, which is why he doesn't get the carries. Plus, they are saving him like for the fourth quarter after the other 2 running backs have been pounding on the defense. And then they bring in the guy who can get, if he gets loose, if he actually sees the hole, against
like he did last week.
Like he did last week, he's gone. There's literally nobody that's going to catch him.
Right.
I love that we're seeing more of my guy Jazz Patterson, man. He was my pick last year to kind of be the surprise guy, and
yeah, he's their bigger pass protector. Like he's really good in pass blocking, and Williams is really good in gap running. I want to say I think Williams still averages over 5 yards a carry if I'm correct. So
yeah, I didn't grab that stat, but I believe I saw that he's still there.
So on gap runs, Johnson K2 is really struggling with, just like we thought.
Okay.
Which is why he's not getting the carries.
Okay, let's answer this question. Has Nebraska gotten better since beginning of the season after playing Colorado? If you listen to Kirk's news conference yesterday, they're playing like a bowl team.
yeah.
That's Kirk's take right now.
No, that's his take to you. That's not what he tells his kids.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? And
No,
absolutely not. They're on like QB 3 or 4.
They lost 3 in a row. No, I mean they lost to Wisconsin. They lost the teams that Iowa beat.
Yeah,
they're not. I mean, they've lost 3 in a row.
Okay, so they were 5-3, and then they lost 3 in a row to become 5-6. Do you think it's because they still haven't figured out how to win close games because they were excited about getting that 6th win and they thought they could just go out there and get it?
No. I think they're learning. The coaches are trying to figure out what to do to not turn the ball over, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could tell by their game plan, the way they're running the football. They're literally doing what Iowa does, but they haven't figured it out, right? Mm-hmm. They're not as patient as Iowa is on offense. Now, granted, they run the spread, right? So the quarterback is put into some not good situations to turn the ball over. So that's the difference with Iowa, where Iowa, as long as the quarterback knows how to hold on to the ball in the pocket, which Deacon has been so much better. It's no longer hanging out his waist. If he doesn't hold the ball at his waist against freaking Minnesota, Iowa beats Minnesota that game. I mean, he turned the ball over like 3 or 4 times against Minnesota, and I don't think he really has much other than the Rutgers game. That interception, I don't think he has in the last 3 weeks.
I know it's hard to look up because but I think I saw something during their last game because I do like to watch our upcoming opponents. I think Nebraska might also be one of the most heavily penalized teams in the Big Ten. And, if you're turnover prone and you're penalty prone, it's awfully hard to win football games.
Yeah, I don't know much about their penalties. I don't know actually anything about that, but you could be right. Happy Thanksgiving, Casey.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, so Cade makes an announcement that some good things are on the way, and he alludes to this and this thing. I just said that this is kind of like Jason, just throw something out there and watch how many people respond and make their guesses.
Right.
Yeah. Cade is doing what I do. I love it.
Hey, they're college kids having fun,
Well, I'm not a college kid, and I still do it.
Yeah. But he said that his announcement on Twitter was in partnership with the hospital, so I don't know what that would be, but
well, I can tell you this: what it does signify for anyone who is wondering, is Cade really coming back? He doesn't sign a partnership with the hospital if he's not coming back. So
he already said he's coming back.
Of course, but he said that.
Dean has this really issue with actually believing people when they talk.
I believe him. There's no reason not to believe him.
How many times have somebody said something and then done the exact opposite?
Okay, now if Brown or K2 said they were coming back next year, I'd just take a wait and see attitude.
All right.
But Cade, I think, can be trusted.
Okay. He's a graduate student next year, so he could transfer and play right away.
Right. I understand that. I really do. But, he's I don't know. Hopefully.
But Paul's right. I guess the bottom line is Paul's right. If he signs an NIL deal, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
if you have no intention of coming back, you just don't do that.
Yeah.
You wait maybe till after the bowl game and then you go to the transfer portal or whatever. But you certainly don't make any deals with the UI hospital or the children's hospital or any of that. So,
Hey guys, speaking of which, Kelvin Fisher sent me a link to the transfer portal, and one of the top names in there right now is a wide receiver from Purdue, and I kind of wonder why he would bolt before the last game of the season. Why he would do that? Because he still has a game this Saturday.
Well, I'm sure he still plays.
I don't think you can play once you put your name in the portal.
Yeah, you can.
All right, we got to find that answer out because people are saying off and on.
You know how you're going to find that out is if he plays this weekend.
Right.
That's how you'll know.
Okay.
No, I was told a while ago. This was a long time
I'm
ago.
probably not interested in a Purdue Indiana matchup because the two last place teams in their division going at it.
If I was told you could put your name in and still play as long as the coach lets you, right?
Okay.
If he's at good standing with the coach and they understand why he's doing it, hell, he's been in Purdue for 4 years, right? I mean, it's time for him to try something else if he doesn't want to stay there. So if the coach, he will play.
Okay. All right. Well, getting back to Nebraska, what does Nebraska need to do to beat Nebraska? I mean, what does Iowa need to do? Oh, guys, it's been a long 7 days. I got to tell you, here in Oklahoma.
I mean, I'd like to go first on this.
Go for it.
Play Iowa football, right? So penalty free or keep the penalties low, no turnovers, and come up with win the turnover battle. Don't have self-inflicted wounds and wait for Nebraska to do what they do. Give up the football. They do those things, they'll win.
I mean, yeah, if they just play Iowa football, Nebraska's going to play Iowa football. I mean, it's going to take a lot of commercials to make this game go 3 hours, in my opinion, because both sides are just going to run the football. Both sides are going to work the clock. And unless Iowa, actually does what I believe they can do, but who knows if Phil will do it as far as blitzing and all that. If they just play soft like they do and let Nebraska make a mistake, I think both defenses could play passive and just hope for that mistake. And the one team that does make that mistake will probably lose. Yeah. I mean, I really think Iowa gets 300 yards as far as in between the 20s, and I think they probably kick 5 field goals.
I was gonna say that sounds like a lot of field goals to me.
Oh yeah, I think they. I mean, I got them winning 15-9, all field goals the whole day. I don't think either team will score a touchdown because both teams are unbelievable inside the 20s, and both teams' offense, lack of better words, sucks. Right?
Okay.
What's the weather like there, Jack?
So what's their punter like, and what's their field goal kicker like?
Their field goal kickers, actually, neither one of them are great. Their field goal kicker is better than what they've had.
Okay.
Their punter is not very good at all. So their special teams is not really good yet. I know that's a big thing that they've been working on is their special teams. I believe they do have a special teams coordinator, if I remember right. Jared or somebody could fact check me on that. But I know it's a huge concern for their head coach. So
what's the weather there, and what do you expect the weather to be on Friday?
It's going to be in the 40s, I believe.
That's not bad. You remember a few years ago we played the game there in Nebraska and it was like frozen. Like I know you remember it because you lived there, but like it was some crazy, cold, windy, icy mess.
A game where you don't mind playing when you're in college, but as an old man, you wouldn't want to play.
You don't even want to sit in the seats for that kind of weather.
So, but yeah, no, it's going to be football weather. It's going to be Bear Packer weather. It's going to be, chilly. I don't think it's going to be very windy, but I'm not a weather guy. We need what's his name on. We need Sam on here for that.
It was like 37 or 38 degrees last night. My wife and I went out for a walk late at night in the dark, and it's just like so bone chilling.
That's why I
Anyway.
love living in Florida.
Yeah.
We have a
Anyway,
cold front coming through, and it's going to be a balmy, like high of 60 tomorrow. Like,
Well, it's supposed to be 70 in Bakersfield where I live, but we won't be there to enjoy that. So it looks like the line has moved so much that Nebraska is now favored by 2.5 points. Did you guys see that?
Well, that's called a sharp. So what happened was Iowa was favored by 1.5 at the drop, but all the large money went on Nebraska. That's called a sharp. Like, so instantly, like within 24 hours, it went down to -1. So for Nebraska, my bad. Sorry. It went down to Nebraska being favored by 1. It was a reaction. This is kind of funny, but it was a reaction, I believe. Well, it was a reaction to how Iowa locked it up. And okay, to you, Dean, this is your thought process.
Okay.
This is where all the money went. All the money felt the way you did. Whereas Nebraska needs the bowl, right? Needs to go to a bowl game to get those 15 extra practices, where Iowa already has whatever happens locked up. Other than if they win this game, they have a shot at a New York Six bowl. Even if they lose the Big Ten championship in a close game, right? So they have to win this game to even be considered for a big bowl after the Big Ten championship game if they lose. So that's why it went to Nebraska favored by, I think they're favored by 2 now. I think it's -2, Nebraska. So it's because it was a flood of money. So it's called a sharp, where the line just switched. Like Vegas thought at the drop, Iowa was favored by 1.5. But then once they got all the money they got on that, it's called a sharp, and it went to where Nebraska is favored by like 2. And the more money that goes on Nebraska, it's just going to keep going up. But I have a feeling it's going to be really close to a pick 'em now, because with it -2, there's going to be a lot of money that goes on Iowa.
Right.
So
Casey says he saw that the over-under is 26.5.
Yep.
But that could change. That's real close to my final score, what I predicted. Iowa 18 and Nebraska 9.
I really think, I mean, I think that hits. Like, as sad as it is to say, but this is going to be a record. Iowa just keeps breaking record for unders every single week.
right.
And this is going to beat the record by like 3 points or something, unless it was lower last week. The record I thought was 29.5, but it might be lower now this season. But this season's been the record every week for Iowa, it appears.
Yeah.
And I still think 26, like I said, that clock is going to go. Both teams are going to run the football. Both teams are going to work that clock. It's going to be a quick game. And whichever offense turns it over will probably be the loser of the game. If neither side turns it over, I think Iowa will win like 15-9 with 0 turnovers on both sides, no touchdowns. I don't think either offense can score touchdowns without turnovers. So,
could there be a 2-loss team that makes the college playoff?
Absolutely not, because there
has been, but not this year.
Not this year. Absolutely not this year. Not when you've got the undefeateds, you got your Georgia, you're going to have a 1-loss. Well, you're going to have the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, presumably winning in Indy. They're a lock. You have the potential for the 1-loss team of Michigan, Ohio State getting in. You've got an undefeated Florida State team that could get in. You've got does Texas have a loss?
1.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if they go undefeated the rest of the way, they're in.
Then you've got Bama. You've got
well, see, that's the kicker. This is why like what you're saying, Paul. This is why a 2-loss team will not be in there.
Right.
Georgia undefeated. Let's just say Bama beats them in the championship game, the SEC championship. where both teams now have one loss. But Alabama, Georgia's been number one almost all season, right? And then also they get this one loss in the championship. Does the playoff committee drop Georgia out of that after being undefeated all year and number one all year? And in the same way with Ohio State, Michigan, one of those teams are going to be in the playoff. Right. So there's going to be so many one-loss teams that a two-loss team really has zero chance.
Zero chance.
Right.
Because Washington's still undefeated, right? So what if Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship? What does the playoff committee do?
Right.
The fact that it's not 12 this year, this is the year for there to be 12. There's so many teams.
I do not think that Oregon and Washington can play each other in the Pac-12 championship. I believe they're in the same division.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'll double check it, but I'm pretty sure.
That means ESPN was wrong because I watched.
Okay.
I watched a show on ESPN, and that's what they said could happen.
Okay, I could be wrong. Maybe they don't have a divisional setup anymore. Maybe they have a top two.
Yeah, because I don't have I'm using my phone, but if somebody could look that up, Jared, if you could see if the Pac-12 has divisions like the Big. I don't think they do, because I just watched, but ESPN is wrong so often that who the hell knows, right?
Ever since they got rid of the big boys out there that used to carry that station and started firing people left and right. I think both Michigan and Ohio State are in no matter what happens Saturday.
I don't know. That's the question. They're going to have a lot of – because if Washington stays undefeated, Georgia stays undefeated, Florida State stays undefeated, how does both Big Ten teams get in there?
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I forgot. I've been so busy with family. Who are the top 4 teams right now in the playoff standings?
Are you asking me who?
Yeah.
It goes Georgia number 1, 2 Ohio State, 3 Michigan, and 4 Washington.
4 is Washington? Okay. I like to see that. Honestly, I do. I wanted them in before Florida State.
Yeah, Georgia's going to spank Washington. It's not going to be good.
Well, Washington's not used to playing teams with defenses.
What?
Washington's not used to playing teams with defenses.
The moment they get popped in the mouth by Georgia is going to be a whole new world for them. For real. Oregon the same way. Like, they don't really play a team with defense. Right, 12 teams, but is there divisions?
Yeah, is there divisions? Because that's the only way Oregon and Washington could meet title game is if they did away with the divisions this year.
And I think they did because ESPN seems to think that's who's going to play again. And the winner of that game goes to the playoff.
Yeah. 2 future Big Ten teams.
Yep.
I'm kind of getting excited for next season to see how it plays out. I really am. Plus the fact that Iowa has a game out here in California. Yes.
Against the UCLA team, it probably has
I think it's the UCLA team, and they'll be playing at the Rose Bowl.
And they probably have a new coach.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that he might get fired.
Yeah, I heard that too. But I also heard, as I told you guys the other night, that that Ryan Day could be on the hot seat if he can't find a way to beat Michigan this week. Coming from an Ohio State fan.
Not if they get in the playoffs and they do what they did last year.
Yeah. Because all they got to do is let's take a look at Nebraska before you start firing 10, 11 win coaches and get you to the playoffs.
Let's see what happens. The game is in Ann Arbor, right, on Saturday. And let's say Michigan wins that game on a last-second field goal, wins by 3, something like that. It's 31-28, whatever. I could see them both getting in the playoff. I mean, Ohio State has a really respectable strength of schedule.
Yeah, that's
because.
Yeah, you're right. To get to Jared real quick. So, Dean, Jared says it's not like this. So they don't have divisions.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming that's what it is. No divisions. So ESPN got it right.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
wrong.
back to what Paul was saying. I believe Ohio State has the number one strength of schedule now, or strength of record, something like that.
Something like
They
that,
have
yeah.
the best, and that's why they're number two.
What's the difference between strength of record and strength of schedule?
Strength of schedule is the strength of where you were and how good everybody is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Strength of record is
Who you beat?
yeah, it's like who you beat.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you beat them?
Okay.
Yeah, and control
Right.
of the games,
Mhm.
where Iowa is just
Yeah. I will say this: at the beginning of the year, I thought Ohio State was very beatable, and I thought they would have lost by now.
they are
But
very cool.
they're finding ways to win.
Yep.
They're not doing it with 44 points a game like they have in the past.
Because they
They're-
can't. They're
They play really good defense, and they
Yeah.
stress you. They stress you offensively because you have to worry about that receiving core.
Mhm.
well, Marvin Harrison. The other one keeps getting injured. He plays every
Oh.
other week. Ubuke or whatever the hell his name is. He plays every other week.
I heard a rumor today that said Marvin Harris Jr. was going to jump into the portal and come to Iowa.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
He's going pro.
Like that's going to happen. He's either going pro or he's staying at Ohio State.
He's going pro. He's just
He's
going,
a junior, right?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I heard he's going pro, so he better be a junior. He better not pull he is at the right school though, like Maurice Claret, thinking
Mhm.
I have to go to college.
Yeah.
But you know what? Iowa has a little bit of an advantage here too, because the Michigan fans, the Ohio State fans, neither one of them know for sure they're going to India. Iowa's had a week-long jump on them, so hopefully, Iowa fans bought tickets to go to Indy, and they're going to be there in mass to help pull the upset.
I'm excited. We're going to be wearing our home blacks. Okay. Michigan cheats, Ohio State, domestic abuse, PSU, pedal stuff. Did I even put that up there?
Boy, that Big Ten East.
Go to the next one. I wouldn't leave that one up there.
We'll just go backwards. There's nothing else. Sorry, Jared. I wish Brian was on here tonight because he's really been pushing for some things that he truly believes. And I guess, Jason, you're right there with him. Let's talk about the fact that you and Brian are on board with Brian going to Nebraska as OC because you think it'd be a great thing for Iowa.
No, it'd be a great thing for Brian.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Before it happens, yeah. I mean, because he's been railroaded at Iowa, so let him do what he does. And it would be amazing to have him do that and have a coach let him with his offense, and he knows how to run an offense exactly like what why can't I remember the head coach's name?
Rule.
Matt Rule.
So like what Rule wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rule wants to run more spread, but so does Brian. Brian wants to run more spread too, but he can't because of his, father.
Right.
I
mean, out of respect for his father, don't you think he would not take a Big Ten job?
No.
So that he doesn't have to face his father?
I don't think that would go against his father. He knows his father's on his way out.
Right.
Yeah.
His father's only going to coach for a few more years at max, regardless, right?
Right. I understand that.
And they would even be, his family would be happy if he actually got another OC job and did that and was able to. I mean, this would not, I know you said that, but this would not go against his dad at all.
Okay.
Because they made his dad fire him.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Even though they won the Big Ten West, they still made him fire it. Right? Even if they win, let's just say they do what they've done before and they upset a team, right? They've done it before. We can't say it hasn't happened. And they do win the Big Ten championship. That means no matter what, Brian is fired even after winning the Big Ten championship.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go back to other rumors. I mean, you said with confidence this morning that I forget which one that you said was going to be hired for OC at Iowa, and you set off a firestorm. And so which one did you say, and how do you know it?
No, I did that for fun.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
I thought you said it was so confident that like you had some intel.
no. Did you not follow my Twitter? You commented on it. I told everybody, the people who thought I was serious. No, I ended up telling them the truth because they got too crazy.
Oh, I didn't. I actually didn't. I mean, if you said it a little later, because I was one of the first commenters.
There was a lot of people who knew what I was talking about. Barnett is going to get an interview. He has been an OC before.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's already had experience at OC. I only said that because I know that.
Okay.
And I know some people do know that as well. He's already been an OC, and he was fairly successful.
Is he at Wyoming?
No, that's no. Barnett is our offensive line coach now.
Oh, okay.
He was the offensive coordinator for Illinois State and oh gosh, another team. Like he moved up the ladder. I can't remember. I want to say it was a MAC team or whatever. But he was successful for the divisions that he was in, right? Yeah. And he would know what offense to run for Kirk.
Yeah. Well, first of all,
the bottom line is I want Paul Chris to do it for Kirk, right? Mm-hmm. If I had my choice that's not Kirk's style, I'd want Matt Mummy. Everybody thinking everything I say is like what I want is real. Like people think that I want Canada as OC. Well, he runs a style that Kirk would like. It's not about what I want. Mm-hmm. It's fishing for coaches who Kirk will interview for, right? Because they're coaches that run his style of offense.
Yeah. So what got him fired at Pittsburgh?
People who think we're going to get some OC that spreads the field and throws the ball around.
Yeah, they don't know Kirk very well if they think that's going to happen.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, I believe that there's two people on staff right now, and one of those two is going to be the next OC. Okay.
Who on the staff besides Barnett?
I can't. Who's the special assistant to
Budmeyer?
Budmeyer, yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's possible, I guess.
Yeah. My gut feeling tells me that it's one of those two.
I mean, it could be a many. There's a couple of them that I'm hearing. So, and I know there's Joe Fibbin.
Oh yeah, it'd be great to bring him back.
Right. There's going to be quite a few of them. It will depend on, I think, if Kirk wants to. Like, if he wants to stick it to the university, he would just make Barnett OC, right? Just to be like this, you make me fire my son, but we're not going to bring in some air raid type quarterback. Look what's going on in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Our OC, Wisconsin's in a deep fall with their.
Yeah.
I could see Kirk saying, you know what? Let's just bring the band back together, and I'm only going to be here another year or two. And call up Ken O'Keefe.
That would be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
I somehow think Ken left for a reason this time.
No, he was just tired of being QB coach and stuff like that. If he was able to become OC, I think he would come back. Give him $1 million. Give him $1 million a year. And let him come back, he would come back. That would be amazing. I didn't even think of that one. Oh, good God. That would be a stick to him as well.
Correct.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, we do want to remind people that Iowa versus ISU wrestling this weekend, 12 noon, I believe it is, on ESPN.
That on TV? It's on ESPN.
Yeah, if Iowa women are not playing after the wrestling match, Jared and I plan to go right away after the match and talk about it on a podcast.
For you.
Paul,
you are welcome if you want to do 2 podcasts that day.
On which day?
Sunday.
I can go after 4:00 Eastern, I believe.
Okay.
I'm gonna be working all weekend.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you just let me know what you want to do. Yeah, because we're still going to do the regular football podcast in the evening like we do now. Okay. Also, we want to point out that the men play tomorrow at 2 p.m. I think that's on FS1.
They
They
have
play-
a shot to play a ranked team.
They're
If they-
playing the Sooners.
Oklahoma.
The Sooners aren't ranked yet, are they?
No, but USC is. That's they could play on Saturday.
Yeah, so if they can get by the Sooners, then it would be Friday that they would play.
Oh yeah, you're right. Friday.
Friday they would play USC, which would be exciting. The women played both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. They could meet Kansas State on Sunday if everything falls the way it should.
Wow.
Yeah, they actually play Friday night at 6:30.
Hayden. Come here, buddy.
Yeah, this is the tournament I asked you about, Paul. How close to Estero are you?
Not close at all.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how far away that'd be from Jacksonville.
Yeah, Paul and I talked about that at one time. I forgot.
Because that would be a good tournament to go to. It's on the Gulf Coast. Is that where Florida Gulf Coast School is?
It might be. You're asking the wrong guy for that.
You just know you're not close to Estero.
He just has a hard nut keeping track of the Power 5 schools in that state.
Right? Oh, wait.
Yeah. All the women's games are on the Flow Sports Network or something like that. So it looks like it's a streaming situation where you have to go buy it and pay for it if you want to watch the games.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up at the official university website and they all say Flow something.
Yeah,
I thought that was wrestling.
Flow women's basketball or Flow Sports or something like that. What's that?
Flow Sports does every single sport, including racing, dirt track racing. Flow does everything.
Yeah.
That's how I watch softball. Flow is how I watch softball if they're not on the BTN Plus.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I was a women's sports, I don't know that I'd want to be on the Flow network, but it's just.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Dino didn't get
And Flow. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just better I ignore those things.
Yeah. Let's just.
Okay. How's the Iowa women's soccer? They got beat last weekend in the second round of the tournament. They're done. They're home now. Watching the rest of the tournament on whatever ESPN Plus or whoever's carrying it.
Flow soccer.
Flow soccer. Yeah.
I mean, they do sport.
But yeah, that's as far as they've ever made it. It's the second time they've made it that far and lost in that round. They've never made it further than the second round. But it's only like the third time they've ever gotten to the tournament too. So this is a team that struggled early in its early years, and now he's getting better players and he's got better coaching, and so the team is really starting to make a name for themselves.
And I know all 6 of the people who are watching our show are very interested in women's soccer. So we do it just for you guys.
Yeah. Well,
I'm surprised there's 6.
Jared asked, and I gave him a response. Let's go over our football picks for the week, guys.
Oh, let's do that.
Paul, I know that you weren't on earlier in the week, but you did hear you went 10-0, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Y'all follow me for your picks. I know what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this.
Okay, we start out with the Iowa and Nebraska pick. Okay. Paul, go ahead and go.
Hawks, baby. Iowa wins this one 16-13. That's going to be my official score, 16-13. We cover the spread, or we cover the under.
Yeah, well, no, it's going to be over the under since the under is not 26.
Right, exactly. So we cover the under.
So we'd go over.
Yeah, take the over if it's 26.
Oh, Jared, we're going to have to get out your sheet to do what you want us to do. Okay. Okay. Jason, go ahead.
I already said Iowa 15-9. All field goals, baby. All field goals, all game long.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Apparently, I'm going to get one more field goal because I said 18-9. So, All right. Penn State at Michigan State.
That'd have to be some kind of record, by the way. Like, say the game ends 18-9 on
All
9 field goals. that would have to be like an all-time college record.
for real.
Never be broken again.
Okay, Jared's got him 17-13 as well. Okay, Penn State at Michigan State.
Oh, that's Penn State. Like that's not.
Yeah. I was hard up for games, guys. I wouldn't have picked this one normally.
No, I'm going with Paul because he wins. So I'm going
Okay.
Penn.
Oregon State at Oregon. I took Oregon.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go Lone Ranger on Oregon State. I'll take the Ducks at home.
Yeah, I'm going Oregon too. I went Lone Ranger on Oregon State last week and got my butt blew up. So
Okay, now here we go, guys. Ohio State at Michigan. Who do you want?
The game.
I'm taking Ohio State.
I'm gonna take Michigan because it's at Michigan. If the game was at Ohio State, I think they might win, but I'll take Michigan in the big house.
Okay.
I'm going to go with because with what I want in this situation. I'm going to go Michigan because if they win, then I got it right. But I'm going to root my ass off for Ohio State. But like I've been saying all year, I honestly don't think anybody can beat Michigan in the nation except Georgia. So I got to just stick with that because I still believe that even without Harbaugh, I mean, they just got so much talent right now on offense, defense, everything. So I honestly don't think anybody could beat. I think it's going to be Georgia, Michigan in the national championship.
So South Bend joined us a little late. He's got Michigan State with the upset.
That'd be.
The thing is, if Michigan State was ranked, then yeah, Penn State loses that game because Franklin apparently just doesn't know how to beat ranked opponents. But Michigan State's terrible, and they're going to lose.
I would love it. I'm not gonna lie. I would love it.
Yeah. Okay, so now we got Wisconsin at Minnesota. I took Minnesota.
With Wisconsin, Minnesota, that's the game we're picking, right?
Yeah.
I'm going. Let me go first, Paul, and I'm going to go Wisconsin. I can't follow Paul every time.
And these are two teams that are not playing great football. I'm going to take Wisconsin because I feel like Minnesota's how Iowa did manage to score more points against them will always be a mystery. They're not good defensively. I'll take Wisconsin, but
You guys are, I know how high I am on karma, right?
Yeah.
I think that punt return, everything just threw a bunch of bad karma at Minnesota. They haven't won since that game, I don't believe.
Correct.
I mean, it's been terrible for Minnesota since that day, and he's even blamed NIL. Like instead of blaming himself, like that he doesn't know how to keep a team together like Kirk does, he blames NIL money. Well, I can't afford to keep these guys going. Well, what the? Seriously, you're at Minnesota.
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
What does that have to do with the team you have now? Not the future. I mean, good Lord.
Okay. Jared says if Michigan State wins, Franklin gets fired.
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, they're not liking him right now because basically he's maxed out Penn State, right? And they're not Iowa. Like they're Penn State.
Right.
So,
but I guess they could easily become Nebraska by firing him.
Well, they've been through so many coaches, even before Franklin, since Joe Pa got fired.
Yeah.
They've been through, and they're always the same team, right?
Right.
So
by the way,
the thing is when Franklin got hired, they dropped penalties and restored them back to good graces, where the previous coach before him had scholarships taken away, no postseason, that kind of stuff. And so he was under, you don't know what he could have done if he'd have had the same benefits that Franklin had.
the thing is, also is Franklin makes too much money. I mean, Iowa fans love to complain about Kirk's $7 million, but he doesn't close to the coaches.
At one time, Kirk was like a top 5 paid coach. He's barely probably cracking the top 15 or 20 at this point. I mean, he's
even think about Mark Stoops is making $9 million a year at Kentucky.
Right.
He's not going to come to Iowa for less.
They had a horrible year this year for Kentucky standards.
Everybody talked about how much money Kirk makes, and it's barely top 20 if it is.
Welcome back, South Bend. Welcome back, buddy.
What do you say?
South Bend, I won't post that, but you understand why.
It's one of those.
Yeah. Northwestern at Illinois.
I don't know.
I'm going to go with Northwestern here. I just feel like they're in a better place mentally, and they're playing pretty good ball, all things considered.
I want Illinois to win just to become bowl eligible, right, and have all these Big Ten West bowl eligible teams. But like I was going to say before you chose Paul, I don't know who's starting quarterback for Illinois. So I don't know if they're going to go backwards because of what Iowa did to Patty. So I'm going to go with Northwestern too. You know, if Illinois wins, great, because then there'll be another bowl eligible team.
Yeah, I also took Northwestern. It's going to be funny that Illinois and Nebraska will probably not be bowl eligible after this weekend, and and Minnesota too, possibly if Wisconsin wins that game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a chance that 6 of the 7 Big Ten West teams are bowl eligible.
Yeah, that could happen. That could happen with the right combination of wins. Okay. Before we continue, Jared wants this question answered. Hawkeye Nolan mentioned Iowa's strength of schedule is number 37. Your thoughts?
That's what it is.
The
Illinois game dropped it down to 37, so it dropped it a little bit. But no, that's what it is. Their strength of schedule will depend on the teams they play. Nebraska's not going to help their strength of schedule either, right?
Right.
So, and it just
especially if Iowa wins that game, then that just tacks on an extra loss to Nebraska.
Right.
But the 37 to me is really a testament to the non-conference schedule that people wanted to bang on, but Utah State turned out to be pretty good, right?
Yeah. I think they're one game. They might be bowl eligible now, or they're one game. Well,
Iowa State, not terrible, and they're playing without their quarterback all season.
I mean, Iowa could legit have 9 bowl teams out of their schedule, out of the 12 teams they played, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Nolan argues that Big Ten West is not as bad as people think.
It's not.
It's not good. But what's boosting Iowa's schedule is that we didn't play any FCS teams. We didn't play UNI. We didn't play whatever. And that when you play all FBS schools, you look around the Big Ten, look around the country at those non-conference games, that dramatically changes. Even playing a Minnesota or Illinois or Purdue or pick your Big Ten West team, that's still considered a better opponent than Northern Iowa or Richmond or some other FCS.
Well, I will say this: definitely, the West teams are equally. They're equal in every sense of the word. But every one of them that's played a Michigan State, a Penn State, or Ohio State got blown out. Anybody in the West, so that also says a lot to me.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lie. Did you say anybody in the East is beaten? I mean,
no, not anybody. Just anybody in the West who's played Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State has gotten blown out.
Well, I don't think that's true with Penn State, but it's probably true with the other two, but I'm not sure what that has to do with anything.
Well, no, I'm just going by comparison when they said the
But
West isn't as bad as people think.
Maryland can't beat a West team. Indiana can't beat a West team.
Right.
Who's the other one? Who am I? Rutgers?
Rutgers.
I don't know.
Yeah. I wasn't even comparing those games. I was comparing the
But see, the
three.
top three don't really matter as far as if you're talking about a whole conference. Those top three teams are top 10 in the country.
Right.
So if we're talking about the Big Ten West, they're actually not that bad considering even the bottom three. So are we really saying the top three teams in the Big Ten aren't good teams? Because they're top 10, but now we're trying to say that they don't play anybody on their schedule because the entire Big Ten West sucks. Well, if the West sucks, then those top three teams in the East, I mean, are they really good? Because they get to play Maryland, Indiana, Rutgers, teams that can't beat the West.
Right.
So that's where I'm going is I think they could be equally as good.
Yeah. Keep in mind, too, the unbalanced schedules. So, you could have some teams in the West that play Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, versus
so let's
Indiana, Maryland, and Rutgers.
Let's move on.
Only
got
lost
4 more games for you guys.
Well, hold on. Penn State's only losses are to Ohio State and Michigan.
Right.
And nobody on the east side below Penn State has beaten a West team. So, I mean, you got to go off of all of it, right?
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. Washington State at Washington. Go ahead, Jason.
Washington. Did you say Washington? Oh, is it at Pullman? Like that matters. Washington.
It's wherever Washington lives.
So it's at Washington. It's wherever Washington lives.
I have no idea. The only reason why I included the Pac-12 teams this year is because they're going to be Big Ten next year. That's the only reason why I've included them all season long. I don't know a lot about these teams, but I will learn.
Before the Jaguars had Trevor Lawrence, you have to go all the way back to the 1900s when we had a guy named Mark Brunell, and he was a Husky. And I love me some Mark Brunell. So I'm taking it.
Yeah, they destroyed Iowa in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
And I think they beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl in '93 with Mark Brunell.
I believe so. So I'm taking the Mark Brunell list, Washington Huskies.
And you did too, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay. California at UCLA. UCLA here.
I'm thinking on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Which one, Jason?
I'm gonna go Cal.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Coach on an island. I'll take the Bruins. I don't have a good feeling about the game.
I'm just wondering about Chip Kelly and like all the negative. I don't know how he can.
Okay, Alabama at Auburn.
No, Alabama.
Crazy things happen in that football game.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll roll Tide.
Yeah, Auburn is very bad.
I took it. And our final game is, and I like to throw them in every now and then, Iowa State at K-State.
Ooh.
I have K-State, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I do want Iowa State to win that game, though.
I'm with you. I got to say K-State because of their defense.
Oh, I'm not going to go on an island with the clowns. Screw that. Why don't we rewind this a little bit? I'll find a place to go on an island, but it ain't going to be with Iowa State. Fuck them.
Well,
sorry.
Unfortunately for you, Paul, you got chosen first most of the picks, right? Mm-hmm. So you weren't able to really go on an island, except I got chose first on Washington State, and you wouldn't go out alone on an island with Washington State. So
we got like South Bend's thinking here. Could we really go to the Cotton Bowl and play Alabama?
I mean, if we do, if we beat Nebraska and then pull an upset in the championship, yeah, I think Iowa has to at that point as Big Ten champ. They have
be a
to
New Year's
find
Six
themselves.
consideration.
I think so.
Yeah, they have
Not consideration. I think it's an auto bid.
Yeah. Why do you guys think we dropped from 16 last week to 17 this week?
I was expecting it. Everybody in front of them won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arizona won convincingly over, I can't remember who, but so I was wondering if they would get passed by Arizona, and that happened.
Okay.
South Bend, don't be sharing my business. I will be in Freeport approximately December 21st.
Plus, with what Oregon State lost, they're the only team in front of Iowa that lost, right? But they lost by 2 points to Washington. So how far were they really going to drop Oregon State?
Right,
well, it turns out they put them in the exact spot Iowa was in, and they moved Arizona up to 15th maybe. So then Iowa just dropped 17th. I mean, it's just kind of how it – plus with what they're doing with the Pac-12 this year, it's almost like they know it's the last year of the Pac-12. It's really weird. Yeah. They're overinflating Arizona, who's 8-3, and Oregon State, who's 8-3. Like, they're just inflating. They had Washington State in the top 20 the first 2 weeks of the season. All they do is it's like the old SEC. It's like they know this is the last year of the Pac-12, so they're just overinflating the Pac-12.
Yeah. Okay, so do you guys have anybody in particular in mind what bowl game you want to go to or what bowl who you want to play, or do you think it's too early to really talk about that yet?
It's not too early.
No, I want to see Ole Miss. I want to see Iowa play Ole Miss, having Iowa's defense play against their offense, and they don't have a defense, right? So Iowa will be able to compete on that level, but I want to see Iowa's defense against like Ole Miss. I think that would be a great matchup. Mm-hmm. I did want USC, but they suck, so that's not going to even.
The bookkeeper in my office where I work, she is the mother of the kicker at Missouri, who used to actually kick at Iowa State. They call him Thicker the Kicker.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big kid.
He's a big kid for a kicker.
He's a big kid for a kicker, especially.
I think he boomed a 45-yarder to win the game against Florida.
Yeah. I've seen it where possibly Iowa, Missouri in the citrus or whatever they're calling it now.
It's citrus.
It's the citrus. Okay. Because last time we were there was the Verbo Bowl or whatever. And so I'm for those reasons and for the fact that, I can go to Orlando. I'd be down for the Citrus Bowl. Missouri's a really good team, though. They're actually pretty good. So it'd be a fun game.
I want to find a way.
On the stands.
I want to find a way where where the Las Vegas Bowl jumps all the way up to the Citrus Bowl level and somehow manages to take Iowa no matter what their record is.
Well, does the Big Ten champ go to the Rose Bowl this year or no?
The Rose Bowl is part of the playoffs this year.
So what about the Fiesta Bowl?
So we have to go somewhere. The Big Ten champ has to go somewhere that doesn't go to the playoffs. So I don't know who we would go to.
Dean, I think you might get your wish if we don't beat Nebraska and then lose in the Big Ten championship game. Yeah. Now we're a 4-loss team.
We gotta get that 10th win, because if we lose our last 3 games, Nebraska championship game and bowl game, we would be 9-5, and that just looks like an ugly record to me. If you do that and you have your 10-4, that looks so much better.
Right, but he was trying to say you might get your wish, but you just completely interrupted.
No, I got that. I got that.
Are you talking about the Holiday Bowl or something?
No, Las Vegas Bowl. We don't have the Holiday Bowl in the Big Ten this year.
Oh, okay.
That's not in the rotation. Yeah. One of these days, we need to do a podcast on just revamping the bowl system. I think they should honestly get rid of bowl tie-ins, conference tie-ins, because especially with the playoff expanding to 12 teams, just let these non-playoff bowls go get the two best teams that the best matchups they can, regardless of conference.
You remember when the bowls could pick their own teams, and now
that's what they need to go back
basically
to.
pick them for them.
Yeah,
That's what they need to do, because with these tie-ins, you get two teams matched up that shouldn't be playing each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is because of Iowa's in the West, a lot of times they play a lot of teams, and it hasn't happened lately because we haven't lost that many bowl games lately, but we seem to get into games that were overmatched, matched in bowl games because of where we finish in the standings in the Big Ten versus, we're like an SEC team. And I'm getting so tired of playing SEC teams. Can we play an ACC team, a Big 12 team, a Pac-12 team? Can we please?
You mean like Boston College or...
I'm confused by what gosh, when's the last time they were in a bowl game they shouldn't have been? The 2015 Rose Bowl, maybe?
Yeah. Well, they earned it.
they were 4-1. They're 4-1 in their last 5 bowl games. They're only lost.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It hasn't happened lately, but before that, it seemed like we went through, if you remember right, we went through a streak where we lost probably 5 or 6 bowl games in a row.
Right, but that wasn't because we weren't supposed to be there. I mean, we had Greg Davis as the OC. Brian as OC is 4-1 in bowl games. Take that for what it's worth. And the only game that he's lost was that Kentucky game where Iowa had to lead with 5 minutes to go.
I was there for that.
So,
yeah. You know what? I'm going to kind of change my prediction here because I think, the bowl games are interesting in how they try to select their teams. Should Florida upset Florida State? And I think Florida State's without their quarterback now.
Yeah, their quarterback here. Yeah.
If Florida pulls that upset and they get to just bowl eligible, look for maybe Iowa, Florida again in Tampa.
Florida will be at 6 wins.
Yeah.
They won't be. They're going to be at a small bowl.
You think they're going to be like Shreveport or something?
Yeah. Because you got Missouri, Ole Miss, you have all these other. Florida will be right there with Kentucky. They're going to go into the smallest bowls in the SEC.
But, the bowls are at that, the bowls are looking for attendance. They're looking for TV ratings. And, if one of these Florida bowls can snag Florida to stay home, it's good for attendance.
Yeah. Jared says commentators are commenting that these bowl games outside of the playoffs are meaningless. Any truth from this? I don't believe that they're meaningless, but they mean something to the fans. They mean something to the players. So I wouldn't call that meaningless.
It's mostly about the players. I mean, the fans love it. They love the travel. It's a vacation for the fans if you go to a good bowl.
Ask Nebraska, who hasn't played in one of these things in 6-7 years, however long it's been. Do you think they'd be excited to go to anywhere?
Las Vegas.
They'd be excited to.
They'd be excited to go to the Pinstripe Bowl.
Correct. You know what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They'd love to have one more football game.
They're not meaningless for the people involved. They're meaningless for the commentators, unless it's their team, right?
Yeah. Well, you've noticed the commentators, especially ESPN, only focus on the top 4 teams and anything, basketball, football, and everybody else doesn't get talked about unless they do something newsworthy.
And it gives you
that's what drives me absolutely insane. I'm sorry to cut you off, Coach.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Like the ESPN does their bowl special show or whatever, and all they do is talk about the college football playoff. They don't even mention the other bowls anymore, and that's ridiculous.
Well, and it's also a way to get better. Like a team like Nebraska really needs it because it gives you, this is what I was going to say, is it gives you 15 extra practices.
Right.
So the fact that, that would be huge for a team like Nebraska, right? how you build your program is going to a bowl game, in the very beginning, so you can get that extra time.
And you get that extra look, real live reps, right? So, if you're playing in a meaningless game, here's an opportunity to play some younger guys, especially with the new red shirt rule. Guys who haven't played can come in and play and keep that red shirt. So
that's a good game for the red shirt players to actually play and show that their improvement, kind of give you a better idea for spring. Yeah, that's all true. You're right, Paul.
Yeah. And because
then that's my first soda of the day. I've been drinking water all day.
Hey, I got
more and more guys are
Mountain Dew
choosing to sit out the bowl games.
and
That
Kool-Aid.
opens up those doors and those opportunities to your freshmen who didn't redshirt, but didn't get a ton of experience, maybe played more special teams throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who are going to be able to keep that red shirt didn't get those, 4 games in. So,
I mean,
there's nothing meaningless about these bowl games except for people who only want to focus on who can win a national title.
Yeah, to your point, Paul, I would say, like, if LaBosse is truly on his way out, and we would find out before the bowl game, right?
Right.
To have Marco play in that game as well.
Right.
Marco play in the bowl game. That would be, unless they're in the Orange Bowl or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then I would get it. That you would play all the players who want to play, right?
I would say if anybody's not participating in the bowl game or transferring out, we will probably find out the day after the Big Ten title game or a couple days.
Yeah,
after.
just like last year, you bet. Right after that Nebraska game, all of a sudden Bruce was gone, Keegan was gone. Like,
something else that could be telling during the Big Ten championship. God forbid this happens, but let's say the score gets out of hand. Deacon has thrown 4 picks in the first half, whatever. Who comes in, right? Because we're not just gonna play Deacon with 4 picks and 2 fumbled snaps and whatever. Somebody's gonna come in,
right?
Is it Joey? Is it Marco?
Yeah, that's a good question. And even though we are getting blown out, because when we were getting blown out at Penn State, he did not change anybody. He kept his first teamers in there.
Well, that was because the blowout was planned almost. It was the strangest game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did not count that game. Mm-hmm. Iowa's defense literally played 7 yards off the ball the whole game. Mm-hmm. Iowa's offense didn't try to do hardly anything. Like, they didn't try it. Remember, I sent that message to Brian. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
After that game?
Did you ever hear from him, by the way?
What?
Did you ever hear back?
No. I knew I wouldn't. I'm surprised he didn't block me, to be honest with you, because I gave him a few. Obviously you guys saw what I said to him.
But keep in mind that game was still 10-0 at halftime. It's not like Iowa was out of that football game at halftime. Of all the stuff that went wrong, they were still in the fight at halftime.
Right. But then in the second half, we had all these special teams blunders as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember the punt return, the ball bounces off an Iowa player.
Which makes it hard to replace the quarterback in that situation, right? Because it's like, well, all these other things are going wrong.
I just think it was a planned way to get their players together and not try to get blown out, right? And they probably don't get blown out without all the mistakes. Deacon fumbled twice, Cade fumbled twice, right?
Right.
Hold on to the ball in the pocket and at least punt the ball away. Don't give Penn State the ball where they got it.
The Eric All fumble.
On the opening drive.
Right.
That's why that was the definition of a throwaway game. When coaches look at games like that, sometimes you don't even watch them because you don't get anything out of actually watching that game.
Right.
Just with everything that went wrong. Like, it was just that's where I say that was Kirk's philosophy every phase of the game. Remember, every kickoff return was fair caught.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't try to do anything in that game. It was the strangest game I have ever seen. So
it was almost like the game plan was seriously like ultra conservative. Let's just hold on for dear life and see if we can get this to the fourth quarter.
yeah, it was.
And then things went sideways with stuff that hasn't happened before or since that game.
Right.
Like you were talking about.
At Iowa, Kirk has hardly, in his 25 years, he's never really witnessed a game like that. He's witnessed butt whoopings, right? They've gotten their butt kicked, but that game, they didn't really get their butt kicked. They just made mistake after mistake after mistake. It was just weird. That's why I don't think they actually, I doubt they watched that tape, right? Or they watched it and they said, Cooper, and maybe that's why Cooper did that dang whine, because after that game, if you remember, all of a sudden Cooper started pointing, like doing all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from the ball. Get away from the ball. Because that's what he was trying to do in the Penn State game, and obviously it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And then even Penn State's guy fumbled the ball, and
they got it back.
Their way. And instead of tackling the returner, and I think Brian Suter actually brought this up, I never went back and watched it. Instead of tackling the returner like you normally would, they went for the ball, but the returner was able to get to the ball. But if one of the guys would have just tackled the returner like you usually do, he doesn't get to that ball. An Iowa guy does.
Yeah.
Just so many things in that game that it's.
If we go back to Jared's comment too about the Iowa-Michigan Big Ten championship game, the last go around, if you recall, we had the kind of trick play that it was wide open and we just couldn't quite connect on it. And then two plays, we missed a chip shot field goal, and then they hit their trick play.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was those three things happened all within like a minute of game time, and it just screwed the game.
Okay. Guys, I think this is a good place to end it. It wasn't a fair catch.
No, it wasn't.
God, we'd be 10 wins already. Anyway, let's not go back. Guys, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys on Sunday. We'll have some wrestling to discuss. We'll have some football to discuss, some basketball to discuss. We've got a lot going on this weekend. So go men, women's basketball, go wrestling, go football team, and let's have some fun.
Hawk,
and happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. Thanks for watching.
Everybody.
Okay.